and welcome to Chesapeake Public Schools Family Empowerment Webinar presented by the Office of Family and Community Engagement. I am Lisa Carey, one of the FACE specialists. We are excited to continue our student financial literacy series in partnership with Navy Federal Credit Union. So far in our series, we have discussed managing your money, debit cards and credit cards, consumer loans, and paying for higher education. From all of the components and questions we have gotten from our students, we know that you have learned a lot through these series. Tonight, our final presentation will cover managing credit and identity theft. Those students that have attended all 4 sessions will be entered into a drawing for an Amazon gift card. The winner will be announced tonight via email. Actually, yes, tonight via email. We'll email you tonight when you receive the accompanying handouts from tonight's presentation. Remember that these videos are all being recorded for our YouTube channel. You can always refer back to them if you need to. We'd like to welcome back to the team of experts from Navy Federal Credit Union, Kate and Ellen, who are our presenters for the series. In order to make our webinar more interactive and allow you to ask and answer questions live with our panelists, we have enabled the chat feature this evening. We will not have our Q&A open, so please feel free to put any questions you may have in the chat for everyone to see. At this time, I will turn the program over to Navy Federal Credit Union.
Hello. Good evening again. My name is Ellen. If you've been with us, we're now in the 4th session of this week, and we are so glad to have you here. Just again, I've been with Navy Federal for almost 11 years now. Finances, I've been dealing with finances since I've been in school as young as your age, and that's what jump-started my career now. And I also have my co-host here, if she'd
My
like
name
to
is
introduce
Kate.
herself.
Oh, hey, my name is Kate. I do also work for Navy Federal. I've been with the company for 4 years. It's a wonderful place to work. I thoroughly enjoy it. I love that I have these opportunities to talk to you guys and teach you some new things. And then a little bit about me. I am Indian River alumni, so go Braves. I say that every time, but I really do hope you guys enjoy today's webinar. We'll be talking about some interesting topics that Ellen and I think that will be really helpful for you in your future. So we're really excited.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Kate. So before we start off, I just want to kind of put it out there and ask a question. What kind of first big purchase would you want to make as an adult? What are some of your answers? You can place that in the chat and just type that in there. Feel free to share. We'd love to hear your responses.
Okay, Steve says a car, a townhouse.
Okay, yes. Those are all some great things, which is going to lead us into our topic of conversation here. So today, we will discuss the importance of credit, your credit report, and your credit score, and how to protect it by avoiding identity theft. So, what is credit? Basically, it is borrowing. Let's say you pay for some new clothes with a credit card. Your lender is essentially allowing you to temporarily borrow money while you are promising to pay it back in the future. Or if you buy a new car, your lender is allowing you to borrow the money to purchase the car, and you are promising to pay it back to you are promising to pay back that loan over a predetermined period of time and with interest. Lenders use your credit history to determine whether to grant you credit. For example, if you have previously let your best friend borrow some cash and he never paid it back, you probably wouldn't be eager to let him borrow money again, right? The same concept works when lenders look at your credit history. Has anyone had a similar situation where you had to lend money to a friend? How did that go? Okay, so Steve said he did. Yeah. You never paid Steve back. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Okay, I'm just gonna give me just one moment. And I just want to do a little pulse check to make sure everyone can hear me. Can everybody hear me? Okay, perfect.
All right, it looks like we just had someone join. So, just to recap, today we're going to be talking about credit, and we're asking if any of you have ever borrowed something from a friend or lended something to a friend. And how did that go? Did the friend return it to you, or did they not? How was that experience?
Yeah. And Kate, I know you were just sharing earlier some experiences. I'm not sure if we quite were able to hear everything. Would you be able to share that again?
Yeah, so I was just giving some examples like sometimes you might lend a friend a video game or a shirt, and let's say that friend didn't return that back to you, you wouldn't want them to borrow
Mm.
anything from you again. And that's kind of what how we look at credit. So lenders, if you don't pay back what you borrow, they won't want to lend to you again.
Right. That is really hard. Thanks for sharing that, Kate. And thanks for everyone sharing in the chat as well. So at this point, we'll go on with the next one. So credit history. It's a record of transactions involving a person's use of credit. It also includes car loans, education loans, mortgage loans, credit cards, and other types of loans. All of this information is compiled into a credit report, which is a record of a person's credit history. It looks something like this. This is just the first page. It can go on and on depending on how much credit history someone has. So here's an example on the slide here. Okay. Information from a person's credit history is used to calculate a numerical credit score. The score is based on how much debt a person has, the extent to which bills are paid on time, requests for additional credit, and much more. Your credit score and credit report are used by lenders to determine whether they will lend to you. It would be like looking at all the work you did in school, papers, projects, quizzes, daily assignments, and exams to determine if you were a good student. So if we look at the slide here, do you pay your bills on time? Do you make at least a minimum payment each month? How much of your available credit are you using? How many accounts do you have? Do you have any accounts in collections? Or how about how long have you had your accounts? This is something you would all see here. So I just want to ask, has anyone had any assignments or projects like in this example where they received a good grade? If anyone would like to share that, please type that in the chat. We'd like to know if you had any recent assignments or projects or quizzes where you received a really great grade on. How did that make you feel?
Well, Ellen, I'll go ahead and share. So, my favorite subject is English, and recently I um, got an A in one of the classes I was taking, and my final project was a report that I wrote, and I got a 100%. So that felt really good.
Oh, that is awesome, Kate. We always like those great grades for sure. Okay. Yep. It does make you feel great. Thank you all for sharing. And Steve said he had a presentation that went well. It felt good. It always feels good when you have a great presentation. Those are all great examples, and that's kind of like what the credit report is like. It paints a picture for everybody. But if anyone has any questions, let us know. Okay. So next thing here. Credit scores range from 300 to 850. Your credit is considered good if you have a score of 700 to 780, and excellent if you have a score of 780 to 850. Your credit score and score can really impact your future. Here are a few examples. Employment. Employers may review your credit report as an indication of your financial responsibility. Security clearances. A poor credit may disqualify you from jobs involving security clearance. Example, military, FBI, Department of Defense, government contractors, law enforcement, just to name a few, because you can be seen as a risk. Purchasing a home or renting an apartment, your credit score can affect your ability to be approved for a mortgage, to purchase a house, or to rent a home or apartment. Buying a car. A poor credit can prevent you from being approved for a car loan or may affect the interest rate you are offered for a loan, costing you a lot of money. So I just want to see over here if anyone has any family members in any of these positions.
Well, Ellen, I know that my dad was in of course, he was in the Navy, so he, of course, had to have a security clearance for that, which required him to have some credit and good credit. And then I even had to have a credit check when I applied here. So it's very
Yeah,
important.
very important. Thanks, Kate, for sharing.
Lisa
Yeah, I
says, yes,
mean,
a government contractor. Great example.
yes. Just as something to share before we continue with the chat as well. I mean, even my sister, she worked as a cashier at a gas station locally, and they had to do a credit check on her as well because she's handling cash, which requires great responsibility with that. But we also have Steve. He said, "Do I need to worry about my credit report for my first job?" Kate, you want to answer that?
Sorry, I'm switching off mute. Um, so I guess that's going to depend on your first job. A lot of jobs do require you to have a clear credit report. Um, or sometimes they'll just look to see that there's no negative remarks on your credit. A lot of, like we were saying, a lot of these government contracting jobs, military, for example, or if you're working with money, that will require you to have good credit.
For sure. And that's really good information. So there's nothing better than the now. And so if we have any other questions or anything else, we're going to go ahead and try this again just to make sure we got everybody still with us. If you're good to go to the next slide, give us a green light, type that in the chat, green light. Are you ready? Okay, perfect. Okay, sounds good. Thank you everybody for all your answers. This is great information here.
Logan just
So
joined. Welcome, Logan.
hi, Logan. Okay. So I know we just got Logan joining in here. So we've just been talking a little bit about credit reports and why it's important, especially with getting jobs or purchasing a home or getting a car. So we're going to move on to the next slide here to talk a little bit more. If you use your credit the right way, you can build a good credit history. Here are a few tips. One, you want to pay off your entire credit card balance each month. If you are unable to, pay as much as you can. Make sure you apply for credit sparingly. Don't apply for the store card at every place you shop. Only take out loans that you can afford to repay, regardless of what the lender says you qualify for. Before you shop for a loan, review your budget to see what monthly payment you can afford. Make sure your loan payment doesn't exceed the amount you've come up with. Don't max out your cards, meaning don't use your credit card to the limit. Staying below 50% of your credit limit is wise, below 30% is best. Be sure to pay all your bills on time. Late payments can get reported to the credit bureau. Also, you don't want to co-sign for your friends. If they don't make their payment, it will be up to you to pay it for them. And if you can't, that will impact your credit score.
And just piggybacking off that, Ellen, I wanted to share as you guys get older, you will realize that a lot of stores that you go into will ask you if you want to apply for their store credit card to get a discount for your purchase that day. And while that can be extremely tempting for one, just know that every time you apply for one of those credit cards, your credit is getting pulled, which can impact it negatively. But also, a lot of these credit cards have extremely high interest rates. So while that 20 or 30% off does sound really tempting, if you forget to pay that back before the due date, you may be charged a lot of interest and possibly even a late fee. So be very careful of that.
Yes, that is very important. Thanks, Kate, for sharing. I know that nobody wants to pay any more than what they have to. So anything you can save on money, you're going to want to work towards not having to pay any or not having any late payments for sure. Okay. Um, but yeah, so I know that we just got some other people joining in, but I just want to make sure if everyone's good, make sure we got everyone here. I'm going to go ahead and continue on to the next one. So now we are going to talk about how to protect yourself from identity theft, which can have a huge impact on your finances, including your credit score. Identity theft happens when someone steals your personal information and uses that information to pretend to be you without your permission. Why would someone do that? Well, usually to steal money, open new accounts, or commit other fraud. Identity thieves use your personal information to obtain credit in your name. Well, just something that I want to share here so that we can think a little bit on how this can impact people. It's kind of a big topic these days. You know, there's a lot of people trying to obtain information. One of the stories that I wanted to share that I personally experienced with my niece, I was trying to help her establish her first credit card. She just turned 18. She asked me for all my input. I let her know everything that I've experienced and what would help her at best. Well, she went to one of her financial institutions that applied for her credit card. And when they pulled a credit check on her, they actually flagged her account because apparently someone had tried to open, or actually they did open up a credit card in her name. And you would think for a little bit, how could they open up a credit card knowing that she's only a minor? She's not even 18 yet. Well, they worked their ways somehow, but she it was a little bit of an inconvenience for her, so she did have to end up disputing it with the credit bureau. But that is something, you know, that she never thought she would ever have to pay attention to. But they got it fixed. Everything was good from there, but it kind of makes you wonder, how did it happen? Um, and it looks like we have Steve. He's sharing a story here. He said his grandma fell for a scam and lost a bunch of money and shared her social security number. It was a mess. Oh, yes. I mean, for the most part, if I had to put a number, if I had to guess, I mean, you only get one social security number for the most part, right? That's really hard to get that adjusted and fixed there. I know she probably had some hard moments with it. But at this point, I just want to see, is there anybody else that has any questions or comments they want to still share in the chat, or anything that they missed that we can touch base with you on? Just let us know. Okay, so while we go on to that, let's talk how about identity theft a little bit more. So, identity theft can happen in a variety of ways, and it can happen to anyone. You might think this does not concern you because you are still minors, but that is not true at all. Identity thieves commonly steal personal information from children and especially teenagers because they think it will go undetected. Here are some ways that thieves work. So, one, by stealing your mail. Often your mail includes personal information like account numbers, name and address, of course, date of birth, and other information that these could use to impersonate you. Also, by stealing personal information from forms you filled out, from your workplace. Think of your summer jobs, or if you end up getting one, or other places you have trusted the security of that information. Maybe by stealing your wallet, your purse, or your phone. Think of all the information contained in those right now. Your phone has a lot of information. Your driver's license is one that you have, an ID card, a bank card, a social security card, just to name a few. Through ATM and payment machines, thieves have been known to rig devices to steal information. So be aware of your surroundings whenever you use one of those machines, and do not input your PIN so that everyone around you can see it. If the device looks like it has been tampered with, do not use it. Also, by phishing or smishing, phishing involves sending you a fraudulent email that looks to be authentic. Say an email from your bank asking you to verify your account information. Smishing is basically the same practice, but using text messages instead. The best thing to do here is to never reply to these and never give personal information via unsolicited email or text message. Also, through wireless hacking. How many of you ever had to use a public Wi Fi with your phone or laptop? Hackers will connect to those public Wi Fi networks or even unsecured home networks looking for personal information. Some of those hackers may even install a key logging software that can track websites that you visit and passwords that you enter. So, my best advice is to never do any online banking on a public Wi Fi network. Use your cellular data if you need to access your account away from home. If you do so at home, make sure your home network is secured. Okay.
Yeah, and just to go along with that, I wanted to share. So I actually had an experience. I would call it phishing and smishing in a way, but I would also call it a hacking experience. So, a friend of mine actually reached out to me a while back on a social media platform asking me to send her money. And I'm thinking, okay, this is my great friend, and she must fell at a hard time and she needs some help. Something felt off about it. So, I called my friend. Come to find out, her account was hacked, and whoever hacked her account was messaging numerous people asking for money. And many of her friends did fall for that scam, unfortunately. So they ended up losing their money by falling for a hacker and their scam. I don't know how the initial compromise happened, but it could have been through wireless hacking or by phishing and smishing.
Um, the, Thanks for sharing that story, Kate. It seems like we have a couple of people responding. I was going to ask if anyone's had any similar situations. I see that a few people have. So,
Oh,
yeah.
Ellen, I do see a question on here from Logan. He says, "How can you tell if a machine, I think he means, is rigged or trapped? So like an ATM." I don't know if you want to answer that, Ellen.
Well, a lot of the times, you can just see if there's something out of place. Like a lot of places at gas stations, they might have a little sticker on there saying that this device has, or don't use this, um, don't use this pump if you see that the sticker has been removed or tampered with. So you would just kind of, a lot of it is just knowing that something looks out of place from the normal. So unless you haven't seen it, sometimes they may be hard to detect. But a lot of places now have little stickers or reminders what to look for just in case. Okay.
Have any of you experienced anything similar? Have you gotten any weird emails or um, maybe even an odd text?
And then I know I receive texts almost daily through my phone. And a lot of it, some of them seem really good sometimes. You just kind of have to see if there's any like errors, grammatical errors or anything. You see a lot of those. Or sometimes you don't even have a bank with some of the things that ask for you in the text messages. So you know that's definitely not one of yours. Or Kate, how about Amazon? Amazon's a big one, right? We get a lot of Amazon text messages. You're
I do. Also, I do get some odd ones from FedEx and UPS saying, "We attempted to deliver your package. Please click this link to retrieve it." Things like that, where they're marked urgent and respond in a timely manner, those kind of things.
yeah. Oh, Lisa said it happened to her dad at a 7-Eleven gas pump. Yes, that's unfortunate. And then Steve said he gets calls all the time too. I kind of have to feel like I have to screen my calls most of the time. Okay. So before we continue, I just want to do a little pulse check, make sure everyone's good before we continue. If you're good, just give us a little green light in the chat like we did earlier. Perfect. I see we got Krista with the green light. Anybody else? Okay, they're coming on in. Thank you, everybody. Okay. And so here we are with this one. So let's look at an example of how someone may discover that they were a victim of identity theft. Imagine that you have a good paying job, you pay your bills on time, you don't have any debt, and so you decide to buy a new car. You've researched models and prices, test drove a few cars, and negotiated a good price with the seller. But instead of signing a few papers and getting the keys to your new ride, you are told that you don't qualify for a loan. When you investigate to find out why, you discover that there are credit cards and loans for thousands of dollars taken out in your name that you didn't apply for. How would you feel about that? Let's share that in the chat. How would that make you feel? Yeah, definitely. All valid feelings from anything like this happening. Unfortunately, this is what can happen when someone's identity is stolen. Thanks everyone for sharing there. Okay. Mistakes on your bank. I apologize. So we're going to talk about warning signs, red flags that might indicate a problem. Okay. So mistakes on your bank, credit card, or other account statements. You see withdrawals from your bank account or charges on your cards that you can't explain. Bills and statements don't arrive on time, or you don't get your bills or other mail at all. A common identity theft trick is to open accounts with your name and address and then quickly change the address on the account so that you don't know about the charges being racked up in your name. You receive bills or collection notices for products and services you never received. That's why it's important to always review your statements and bills. Don't just pay them and throw them away. Calls from debt collectors about debts that don't belong to you, or a notice from the IRS that someone used your social security number. Unfortunately, there are a lot of other red flags besides the ones just mentioned. Just remember that if something looks suspicious, investigate it. Just to kind of touch base here, um, I have neighbors that one day they saw someone pull up in front of their house. At first, they thought it was the mailman, but they noticed that the vehicle was not the normal UPS logo on there. It was an unmarked truck. And there's license plates missing off of it. And then there was a couple that had came out the car and then went into the mailbox. Um, Luckily, the homeowner was home. They came on out and then they questioned them and they drove off from that. So at that point, my neighbor wanted to take precautions, so they went and notified some of the places because they actually had checks that were being mailed off to be sent to pay some of their car loans and electricity and water bills. So they wanted to make sure that they contacted their financial institution and those places to let them know that they had a situation just in case. Has anyone had any other similar situations or heard of any other red flags from maybe a family member that they experienced, or maybe something happened to them more specifically? If you do, you have time, you're more than welcome to share it. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next one here. Okay. So here are some tips on how you can protect yourself from identity theft. Do only give out your social security number if absolutely necessary. You can always ask to use another identifier. Two, shred paperwork with personal information and financial documents before you discard them. Identity thieves don't mind digging through your garbage. Also, keep your personal information in a secure place at home, especially if you have roommates or other non family members in your home. Don't. Don't carry your social security card in your wallet or write your social security number on a check. Two, never click on links sent in unsolicited emails or text messages. Instead, always use a web address you know. So type it in. Don't use obvious passwords. Your mother's maiden name, your birthday, or the last four digits of your social security number. All are obvious passwords. Don't give out personal information on the phone, through the mail, or over the internet unless you are sure who you are dealing with. Most of all, treat personal information like you would treat cash. You wouldn't leave a $100 bill lying around now, would you? Your personal information is worth far more than that. Okay. So at this point, we'll go on to the next one. Any questions so far? Just want to check on everybody. Okay. So we'll go on and continue. But what I do want to ask everyone before we go on, what kind of social media do you or your friends use? If anyone wants to share that in the chat and let us know, because I know we get always different answers from all kinds of age groups. So we just want to see what the new trends are out there. Okay, so Krista says Instagram. Okay, Lisa, LinkedIn. Okay, awesome. Facebook, yes. Okay. TikTok. Oh, we know TikTok can be addicting. I do love myself some TikTok here. Kate. Yes, TikTok is definitely a big one for all of us here. Thanks everyone for sharing.
Logan says he's in the Q&A actually. He says, I don't really have or want social media. And some people don't. Some people
Oh,
just don't want social media. And that's
that's
okay.
okay. That's a big decision. That's awesome. So thanks again for sharing too, Logan. We appreciate it. Okay, so what most people don't realize is just how much sensitive information they are really sharing and with whom they might be sharing it. Millions of people keep their profiles completely public, and often people don't think twice about sharing their birthdays, addresses, work locations, or contact information like phone numbers and email addresses on their social media sites. This information is enough for any skilled identity thief to go to work stealing your identity. A name and a date of birth is a good place for them to start. And if you share your high school's name, birthplace, employer, or pet's names, then you are providing enough information for identity thieves to answer security questions asked by financial institutions or other companies. Many people also share when and where they are going on vacation and leaving their home vacant. Now, a thief knows when to break into your home and steal your mail. Social media certainly isn't bad, but be aware and cautious about how to use it. Limit the information you share, especially your employer address, birthday, or birthplace. Make your accounts private, of course, and be selective with who you allow to see your account. If you don't know them in real life, don't let them know you online either. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, so we'll move on to the next one here then. Unfortunately, many of us may be the victim of identity theft at some point. If that happens, here's what to do. Act quickly to place a fraud alert on your credit reports. Placing a fraud alert on your credit report tells creditors to follow certain procedures before they open new accounts in your name or make certain changes to your existing accounts. There are three major consumer reporting agencies, and all have toll free numbers for placing an initial 90-day fraud alert. A call to one company is sufficient. Legally, you are entitled to free copies of your credit reports every year from these companies. Review them carefully and look for inquiries from companies you haven't contacted, accounts you didn't open, and debts on your accounts that you can't explain. You may also want to file a police report. Call or visit your local police department to file your report. Having this on file will provide documentation in case the thieves cause any more damage to your credit. Also, contact the Federal Trade Commission at ftc.gov/ID theft. The FTC is the Federal Consumer Protection Agency that helps law enforcement officials in their investigations. To close your accounts, call the security or fraud departments of each company where an account was opened or changed without your permission. Follow up in writing with copies of supporting documents. Ask for written verification that the disputed account has been closed and the fraudulent debt discharge. So yeah, there's a few steps that you would have to take there. So um, it could be somewhat of an inconvenience, and that's why it's so important to protect some of your information there. But we're almost done with wrapping up today's lesson and session. We just want to see right here, like we asked last time, if anyone or someone or all of you would like to share at least one thing or two you learned today in this presentation. What are some things that you may have not known before? We would like to hear from you. Okay, let's see.
Okay, so Steve says don't trust gas pumps. You do have to be very wary. Learn to contact FTC for identity theft. That is something I learned too.
Yes,
I've been fortunate enough that I haven't had to notify them for identity theft. So I guess you don't know until you have that experience.
that's for sure. And I know that um, I have family members that take precautions where they freeze their credit report and wait to unfreeze their credit report right before they apply for a loan or some kind of credit card just to ensure that nothing happens when they're not detecting it.
I see check your mailbox daily. I struggle with that and I need to be better. Logan says, how to stop a credit thief. Absolutely.
Yes, for sure. I know those Ring cameras help too. I think that's what started our neighbors because they were wondering how something was. I think they had something similar where one of their accounts was compromised and they couldn't figure it out and their check was missing. So I think that's what happened, what prompted them to go look one day. So I know I love my Ring camera. I can see everything. Okay. Well, I appreciate everyone for your time and sharing all this information. I know this was a lot of coverage here, but we can conclude, I can say that credit is always going to be a big thing because it is part of your life because you can't pay for everything all at once unless you really do have money like that, right? So it's definitely good to keep your credit up and not just because you're trying to get a loan or a credit card. Remember, employers, especially where they entrust you with a lot of responsibility with handling cash, for instance, they're going to want to do a credit check on you. So it's definitely important to keep that up. But I'm good at this point. I just want to thank you again for spending the 4 weeks with us. We really appreciate it. Kate, I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to end before we conclude this presentation today.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you as well. We really enjoyed the last 4 weeks with you. We hope to see you guys again in the future.
Yeah.
And we really hope that everyone learns something from at least one of our presentations. If you could take away anything, then that's all we want is you guys to learn something from this. So thank you for having us.
Yes. Thanks, Lisa.
No worries. Thank you, ladies. This concludes tonight's webinar. And of course, I'd like to thank Navy Federal Credit Union and their team for sharing this information with our students and our families. This series has been very beneficial for our students, and we are thankful for you. Kate and Ellen, please know that we hope to see you again next year for the same type of webinar format, or maybe even in person. This series has been very great for all of us. Please note that if you have any questions about our programs, please feel free to contact the Office of Family and Community Engagement. That number is 757-482-5923. Thank you for joining us this evening. And remember, families and communities work better together. Thank you and have a great night.